Like there are a lot of ways to get shredded. So don't think that what I'm about to say is 100% the gospel and that there's no other way to get shredded, because there are other ways. But doing so with only a caloric deficit, in my opinion, is just garbage. It's not a great way to go. And guys, keep in mind, I came from being 330 pounds. Like, I know about weight loss. I know about getting in shape. I know about getting on stage. I've done a bodybuilding show before. I've been around a lot of bodybuilders. You see some of these pictures that Ryan's pulling up, or some of these videos where I'm just, I'm so fat in these videos that it's unbelievable that I posted a video just so people didn't think. I mean, I know anything can be faked these days, but that's real. That's how big and fat I was. Like wearing, I don't know, like size 44 shorts that like don't fit right because they probably need to be even a little bit larger. Wearing 4X shirts, 4 and 5X shirts. I remember 3X just didn't cut it. It was like skin tight. Started even getting like kind of tight around my stomach. And I was like, whoa, this is getting to be gross. So, I mean, the transformation I had, the transformation that I did is the greatest to ever be done in the history of the fitness industry. If there's anybody else that's done it this way, that's done it to this capacity, then congratulations to them too, because that's incredible. But I can't think of really anybody, who's done anything like this, your favorite influencer, your favorite person, your favorite this, your favorite that. That doesn't mean that I'm a material expert necessarily on diet or nutrition. But it means that I do know how to get shit done. I do know how to lose body fat. I do have a good understanding of it. And I also utilized many methods, so you start thinking about, there's not that many people that have tried. There's a lot of people that tried different methods, but I've tried a lot of different methods and I've had success with a lot of different methods. And I'm telling you guys that losing fat via running off of a lot of carbohydrate is, in my opinion, the absolute best way to lose fat, because you have a nice amount of energy available all the time. And also when you start to bring those proteins back up, which is a kind of a mistake, a little bit of not even a mistake of the sugar diet. It's just part of what the sugar diet is and was, like the honey diet specifically, or sugar fasting specifically. But once you get away from sugar, like I've been trying to get away from this thing from the beginning. And that's why I've been saying, like, I don't see eye to eye with Cole on everything. But if you remember, one of the videos I made right out of the jump, and let's not even forget the single digit body fat series, which was talking about prioritizing protein and protein leveraging a ton, right? So I'm not getting brainwashed by what Cole is saying. I like what Cole is saying, and I like the direction he's going in. And I am going to follow suit on some of the things that he's saying, and our ideas are going to overlap. But when he started saying like the sugar diet and sugar fasting are the same thing, and I just thought that was dumb. I thought that was a big mistake. And the reason why I thought it was a big mistake is because sugar fasting is only running off of some sugars. And maybe somebody does that for a particular amount of time. You're running off of fruit juice, maple syrup, honey, sugar, and candy. Okay. That's that intervention. And that's its own thing. And you do that in the absence of fat. Yes, to trigger FGF21, and yes, to trigger GDF15, and yes, to trigger all these things that may be stressors, but also potentially have the ability to transform our bodies in some way. So those things are worth giving a shot to. And I know Jay Campbell has really been diving in hard on this diet and has had great results. He's been posting some pictures. There's a bunch of other people who have gone hard on this diet plan. My friend Jeff Powers is now, right around the 200 range. My brother, who we call the big fat pig on this podcast, was a big fat pig. He was like 225. He might even got to 230. Guess what he weighs now, ladies and gentlemen? My brother's at 199 pounds. Fucking awesome, right? Awesome. Awesome sauce. It's great seeing all these people dropping some LBs. It's absolutely fantastic. But my brother and I have talked recently on the phone. He said, "What are you doing now?" And I just dropped a video the other day talking about what am I doing now? And what I'm doing now is a slightly different version of sugar fasting where there's more protein involved. I now have switched gears to doing more of the sugar diet, where the sugar diet is allowing you, just like the honey diet, just like Anabology said on this podcast, he mentions he likes having protein in the evening. He likes breaking that fast with some protein, and then he starts over the next day. Now, is that still the most optimal way to get the most jacked and everything else? I would still say no. And that is why in the Smelly Protocol, either the 1.5 or the 2.5, now that I look back at those, I still think those are great interventions. I still think it's a great thing to do. I mean, these are only a couple weeks old, right? A lot of people have had tremendous success running off of them, but I think that it gives your body an opportunity to experience what it's like to not have a lot of protein. It recalibrates your taste buds. Like there's things that happen in a diet that are more important than just losing weight. Losing weight is critical. Having the scale go down is critical for almost all of us. It's important for a lot of people, for health, for all kinds of stuff. It's really important that you lose weight. But it's not the only thing that we get from our diet. It's not the only thing that we get. Like we can't lose sight that our nutrition needs to be nutritious. That's an important thing, right? So sometimes when we go too far one way, we have to kind of come back because we have to almost always recognize, don't want to use absolutes too often, but we have to almost always realize that the answer kind of comes back to the middle almost every single time, right? But if you look at the way the Smelly Protocol is written out, if you look at the weekend gives you an opportunity like to get kind of more jacked. And I was being a little bit careful with the weekend because I don't want people like going haywire and like just eating a bunch of shit. But that Saturday and Sunday was set up because a lot of people don't work on those days and you have less responsibilities, maybe some family responsibilities, but there's no reason why you can't get after it at 7 a.m. in the morning and have a great workout or wake up a little bit later and from 8 to 10. No one's doing shit at your house from 8 to 10. So let's go. Get going. If you go to church on Sunday, then train later or whatever, right? But you have an opportunity to get after it. And that day is set up to like get jacked. Those days are set up like that to get jacked. And so even though I'm saying you still might sugar fast through the morning time before the workout, once the workout is over, that's when you have your starches and whatever carbs you want, really, and whatever proteins that you want, as long as the proteins are really lean. So the diet protocol that I fell on now is a bodybuilding style diet where we can actually throw out protocols and rules. You could still use this protocol. Like this still might be something good for you to utilize here and there, breaking up the sugar fast a little bit here and there, or even doing the other version of this where I mentioned you're just going every other day, or you're doing like 36-hour sugar fasts and stuff. But I would also say I don't really think it's that necessary. The only reason why it might be necessary is for the one reason I mentioned about it changing your cravings, because a lot of people reported that when they did this diet, when they did sugar fasting, and when they blended it with sugar diet, and they did some of the Smelly protocols and some of the other protocols that are out there, so many people came to me and said, man, I'm just craving a steak. I am just absolutely like craving, some meat, even some lean meat, some turkey, some chicken, some egg whites, and some starch. That's rare. That is really rare. What is that? Well, that's the protein deprivation. And so now that we got to that point, now let's start to add those proteins back in. Now, how many grams of protein are you going to have a day? Well, I think you can just judge some of that by yourself. Let's just talk about like what's the lower end of protein for protein muscle synthesis and what's the higher end. Well, most things say that like about 0.5 times your body weight is a decent place to start. Some people would argue and say, hey, it should be a little higher than that. 0.5, 0.7. I mean, it doesn't matter that much. You can experiment and mess with it for yourself. Some people will say, hey, how about this? How about 0.5 times your body weight, which would be, for me, it'd be like 100 grams, 115 grams, or whatever the heck it'd be, 110 grams of protein from animal, like from an animal, basically, right? And then I can also say, all right, well, it's, a good idea to get a little bit of whey protein, a little bit of collagen and so forth, and get some other proteins in the mix too. And I'll get that from my steak shake, right? Or you can even say there's going to be protein coming in from fruits and vegetables and starches, because there is some in there. So when you have a day where you have, quote unquote, only 100 grams of protein, which is actually still a decent amount, and you weigh 200 pounds, but you had, 4 or 5 handfuls of blueberries, you had some raspberries, you ate a banana, afternoon, you had some tuna and some rice and stuff like that, right? It starts to add up. The protein starts to add up, but not just the protein from the animal product, but the protein from the starches and the protein from the vegetables and the proteins from the fruit. There is protein in those things. Usually it's only around, I think, like 5% or 4 to 6% is what we looked up on the show before. And that's not a lot, but it's something, right? And I would advocate, I do think it's a good idea to get like the highest quality proteins that you can. What are the highest quality proteins? Well, we hear time and time again, the most bioavailable, they claim that whey protein is numero uno. They had this chart years ago where they gave these ratings out. And I think these ratings started out utilizing this in feedlots and utilizing this with pigs and stuff like that. But number one was, and I think it had to do with amino acid profile, but number one was whey protein. But before whey protein was invented and created and sold as a big thing, I was around, by the way, when whey protein first hit the market as a protein powder supplement, right? Number one was egg before whey protein ever came out. And then whey protein came out, and whey protein was it. And Ryan pulled up the list there. What does that say? 100 to 115? Is that what it says?
For the whey protein, it says 100 to 159.
Yeah, and it's going to depend on, it even depends on the type of whey protein that it is. And the type of whey protein that I utilize this is the whey product that I sell from Within You brand, is a hydrolyzed whey protein, which is probably even off the charts off of this because it's not even listed on here. But hydrolyzed whey protein has a really awesome amino acid profile. But the steak shake has an amino acid profile that cannot be challenged by any other product on the market because it has a bunch of different proteins in it. It has egg, it has whey, and you see beef is on the list as well. In addition to that, it also has collagen. So you're getting protein from a bunch of different sources when you have something like the steak shake. The total carnivore shake is a little less in terms of its amino acid profile because it's beef isolate, right? It's beef isolate and it is collagen. And those are the two types of protein that are in there. And then the tallow, and then the total carnivore has beef tallow as its form of fat, and the steak shake, the form of fat is MCT oil powder from Bubs Nutrition. And Bubs is also our collagen source. And so I wanted to make sure that these products had the best quality ingredients that we could possibly make. I also wanted to rid them of artificial, and I wanted to rid them of even natural flavors and all kinds of stuff. And that's why, the only way you're going to get rid of some of those natural flavors and some of these types of things is to go with our unflavored powders. So for those of you that are really into the ingredients, and even in unflavored, we couldn't get away with everything. We tried. We tried to make a product that had like nothing in it, that literally was just the things in the highest form. I know some people are just thinking, just eat food. And I agree. Yes. Do that. Eat your food. It's really important. But what's cool too, also about the total carnivore, and I've done this with a bunch of different foods and a bunch of different things before, I actually could put the total carnivore on stuff. And I don't do so in large amounts, but I'll put it on my food to get a little extra nutrition from it, because you're also getting liver, kidney, heart, spleen, pancreas, because the steak shake and the total carnivore both have that in there. Anyway, that's my pitch on that stuff. Sorry for being a grifter, as you guys like to call me.